back, Sinners, to another episode of Saturday Night Cinema. As always, I'm your host, Sawyer St. Sin. And tonight we start our Halloween spectacular October. Y'all, I'm so excited for spooky season, even though someone in my house says it's too early. Rude. Mr. Christmas trying to impede on my time for my spooky stuff. Anyways, so tonight we have Trick or Treat. Not the Trick or Treat that you're thinking of. This one's from 1986. It's also known as Ragman. Yeah, Ragman. That's such a terrible, terrible name. Also, I don't understand why this was, called Trick or Treat either. They could have come up with some, better names. Just saying. It's kind of misnamed. Anyways, so its release date was October 24th, 1986. Just in time for Halloween. It was directed by Charles Martin Smith. The story was written by Rhett Topham. That's a great name anyways. He's not the bottom ham, he's the top ham. Sorry. I might make a lot of stupid jokes in this particular instance. And then the screenplay was written by him, as well as Michael S. Murphy and Joel Sosin? That's what it looks like I have written here. I'm not sure. Our cast. We have Mark Price as Eddie, aka Ragman. Listen. Only 2 people in this movie call him that. Okay? 2. Oh, and his license plate. Look, if you're a teenager and you have a specialty license plate with your nickname that you probably gave to yourself, you're a loser. It's weird. Ragman. What does that even mean? He's a metalhead. It's anyways. Then we have Tony Fields as Sammy Carr. So, fun fact about this is that Blackie Lawless, if you don't know him, lead frontman of Wasp, basically this role seemed to be written specifically for him. The character looks the character design and everything in it is so him to the T. But guess what? He was supposed to do it. And then when he heard that some other band was going to be doing all of the original songs and he was going to have to lip sync to their stuff, well, he was like, dude, I'm out. Why not just do me and my band? I don't understand why I have to lip sync to these fools' songs. So he was out. Which, to be honest, I'm like, why not just hire me and my band? But anyways, so we got Tony Fields, who I wanted to do some digging about because I was like, who is this person? I've never really seen him do anything before. Turns out he is was a professional dancer. Unfortunately, he died at the ripe age of 37. Just a couple years after this movie was out. So that really stinks. But he was a professional dancer, so I was like, oh, dude, that's why his dance moves are so sick. They're sick. He did this just a simple, well, not simple, I guess not many people could do it, but he did a spin and it was sick. The only other person that I've seen do a sick spin like that was Michael Jackson. It was sick. Anyways, moving on. I could sit here and talk all night about dancing, but I'm not going to. Ooh, maybe that's a show, guys. You want to hear me talk about different types of dance? Then we have Lisa Ogerlin. I don't know why I can't pronounce that. She plays Leslie, Eddie's, like, you know, secret crush romance. I'm pining for Leslie. Sorry, guys, I told you, like, it's gonna be crazy up in here. I'm in a mood. It's spooky season. I'm excited. Y'all are just gonna have to bear with me for the whole month of October and just deal with my goofiness. Then we have Doug Savant as Tim. We have Glenn Morgan as Roger. That's Eddie's friend. Oh, Tim is the bully that just won't let it go with Eddie. Like, even after some shit happens, you know. Then comes to our very brief people in this movie, but two big names that I was excited. I went into this movie going, all right, Gene Simmons and Ozzy, sweet, and they're not in there for very long. I was duped. Anyways, we have Gene Simmons as Nuke. He is the radio DJ, which, I mean, if you've heard Gene's just like regular speaking voice, he sounds like a radio DJ. And he's got a face for it too. Ha ha, jokes. Ozzy plays a reverend. His Reverend Aaron Gilstorm. I'm talking to these people about, you know, the evilness of rock and roll and fornication. It was so absolutely sweet to see him with his hair pulled back and in a, you know, nice little shirt and tie, looking so cute, little Ozzy. Anyways, so that's our cast. Our soundtrack, like I said, some of the original music was done for this by a band called Fast Way. And then there are 3 other bands that are credited on the soundtrack. That is Only Child, See Jane Run. I don't know why I said it like that, but I like it. And then we have Houdini. And that's, I say who because it's spelled like that. It's got a W at the beginning of it. So it's Houdini. Again, sorry for the weirdness. So let's get into the, you know, the cream of the crop, right? The story. So we open up to pan across the room of Eddie speaking in the third person to his idol and hero, Sammy Carr. As we're panning, we're seeing, you know, Kiss and Poison and Motley Crue and Judas Priest and, you know, all of the great, like, you know, bands from the 80s. Hello. In a record collection and just, you know, I mean, things that you would see in a, you know, metalhead's bedroom in 1986, right? So, you know, he's writing to him, talking about his bullying and things that are going on and how Sammy's the only one that understands. You know, I mean, things that you would write to your idol, right? And he signs it, Ragman. I hate it. I hate it so much. You don't understand how much I hate this. Anyways, moving on. So, as Eddie goes downstairs to do laundry, he listens to the TV, and his hometown is having a Halloween dance. And Sammy Carr wanted to play at this dance because he is an alumni of this high school. Whoa! You kidding me? Eddie's idol, this big time, like, rock and roll star, went to his high school? Of course that's his idol, man. Dang. Right? But, you know, they didn't want him there. You know, why? Because he's vulgar and he bites the heads off snakes and he drinks their blood, right? Literally, it showed a clip of that. My stomach was like turning. So during this news broadcast, right, they're reporting on Sammy in his hotel room dying from the fire. So of course this spins Eddie into a whirlwind of emotions, and we see him like going and crying on his bed. So, you know, because he just wrote and mailed a letter off to Sammy that he wanted him to read, but, you know, he's dead. So before school, he goes over to the local radio station and he talks to Nuke, Gene Simmons. And they're talking about Sammy because he was friends with him and, just chatting. When Gene was like, hey, I've got this record. It's just a demo. Like, it's not out. It's the last thing that Sammy recorded. He'd want you to have it. I'm going to play it on Halloween. But Eddie's like, well, how are you going to play it on Halloween if you give me this copy, this only copy? And he's like, I recorded it on tape. So we're good. But I'm going to play it on Halloween. And right at midnight. So Eddie takes it and he shows it in his locker, right? There was an issue with the bullies and some chocolate milk and spilled all over him. Then there was in the gym, he just got done showering. They play keeps-aways with his stuff and his clothes, and then they throw something that he had out into the gym area and took his towel. So there he is in front of all the girls playing volleyball. He's naked. Which, I don't know what is worse for, a teenager just being butt naked in front of all these girls kind of laughing at you. Oh, there's something. One of them takes a Polaroid of him. Smack dab up against the, door trying to get in. Sad. Anyways, a little bit, Eddie grows some cojones, after listening to, Eddie's record, and he gets back at them. He throws Tim's food all over him in the lunch, what is that, cafeteria, brain, cafeteria, and all of Tim's friends and Tim chase him out and into the hallways of the school. Now there's no way that Eddie could have known that there were tables that people were moving, so that kind of slowed them down a little bit, but he did set up a couple of a chair to push into their way and a mop full of water to throw on the ground. So the chase ensues. There are places where the bullies get caught up, so they're a little behind Eddie, but they do see this door move and they're like, we got him now, he's in there. So Tim grabs the fire extinguisher, pulls the plug, they pop open the door and they hose down everyone in the teacher's lounge. They just got all the faculty. And Eddie walks away. So Eddie's messing with the record. And he does what anyone would do when they hear something that's a little strange coming from the record. Well, they play it backwards. FYI, don't do that. It's a good way to up your records. Alright? If you want to be able to play your records and hear them nicely, don't play them backwards. It's bad. Anyways. What he ends up doing is conjuring Sammy like a freaking Ouija board. I don't know. I don't understand. But hey, it's happened. And Sammy's idea is revenge, you know, on all them people. Yeah, that's his idea. But so, Leslie feels bad. Like she, sees him at school and she feels bad for what happened. So she gives him back his stuff and the Polaroid that was taken of him, and she's like, hey, we're having a pool party. Are you coming? Like, meet me at the, whatever, 8 o'clock after they close. And so he's like, all right, cool, whatever. Yeah. So he shows up and, he's in his full, like, metal gear, right? And he's got a backpack with all the swim stuff in it, right? And Tim finds him and he's like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. And then they there's some back and forth between everyone, and as they're going to kick him out, one of them decides to put a weight in his backpack, and then they throw him into the pool. So basically they're trying to kill him. That's what they're doing. They're trying to kill him. Luckily for him, Leslie gets there and she saves him. I mean, his backpack is now at the bottom of the pool, but at least she's able to get it off of him, right? And so he's pissed and he's like, they're all gonna pay. Like, they're all gonna pay. They're gonna get theirs. They're gonna get it. And so, he goes home and what does he do? Of course, he listens to his idol, right? He's able to talk to him through the stereo, kind of, somewhat. And he records it onto his, cassette player. And the next day at school, he has it as he walks into Auto Shop. And then he's sitting there eating his Twinkies. Y'all, Ragman eats a lot of Twinkies. I know someone else who eats a lot of Twinkies. They're the one that wanted me to watch this movie. I think there's a conspiracy. Anyways, I digress on the Twinkie conspiracy that I have. So, the bullies show up. And they're tossing him around. They bloodied his nose. Because, they're pissed off for the, the teacher thing and, the pool thing and whatever. So, Tim is grabbing wrenches off of the wall and throwing them, not really at Ragman, but in his direction to scare him. And then he tries to go for a big one, and as he's leaning over, his tie gets stuck and it rolls up, and his face is this close, to getting stabbed with something in the eye, a pointy, I don't know what it is. It's pointy, but it's not a drill, so I don't know. But then Eddie stops it. And they just kind of the bullies are like, well, you're going to get it, but not right now, because they're a little freaked out. As they should be. So Eddie's, getting a little bit bolder, growing some cojones, not really letting the bullies get him down, right? And he talks to Roger and he's like, dude, I'm telling you, I can communicate with him through the stereo. It's crazy, right? And Roger's like, dude, I think you really need to get some help. This has gone on a little too long. You need some help. But so Eddie, takes the cassette player and he basically gives it to Tim and he's like, hey, peace offering, dude. Right? No. So while they're at Lover's Lane, Tim's girlfriend puts on the headphones and this green mist comes out of him and fondles her, fondle. And then when she's real close to, She opens her eyes and there's this like weird monster thing with this like huge tongue, and Tim comes back and, you know, like the car's like rocking around and acting crazy, and he hears her screaming. He opens the door just to find her like with the headphones and like just not responding, and like it looks like melted something in her ear, like it's really gross. You know, so he takes her to the hospital, and then he shows up at Eddie's house, and when Eddie steps out onto the porch, like Tim goes to like, you know, confront him, and then like the jack-o'-lanterns like flames just go. You want to see that again? Anyways, you know, Tim's just like, look, just like stay away, like just leave me alone. All right. And you know, Eddie like goes back and he's like, you know, talking to Sammy in this thing, and he's like, man, like I think we've gone this far, and you know, Eddie's not having it, and like crazy stuff starts happening, right? Like everything's shaking, there's a lot of like crazy electricity stuff happening, and I'm not sure how this happened, right? But Sammy pops out of the speaker, just like, whoa, electric, right? It's really weird. But like, you know, he goes back, and like Eddie's mom is freaking out, and then she finds like Eddie like bashing his like, you know, stereo in, because Eddie thinks that if he breaks all of his electronics, he can, you know, get rid of Sammy, I guess. Not so lucky. Not so lucky. So, but he gets grounded, and Eddie's like, Roger, listen, I'm grounded, so I can't do this, but I need you to go to Tim's. I need you to get this cassette. Like, it's like super shiny. Like, you're not gonna be able to miss it. Like, go over there. So Roger gets it, right? And Roger, not knowing how to follow directions, instead of destroying the cassette like he was supposed to, he plays the cassette. And then all of the electricity in his house goes haywire. His smoothie he was making, like, blows up in his face, right? So he goes into the living room, and he's like, what in the hell? And then, guess who's there? Oh, friend, it's Sammy. And Sammy, during this point, is threatening Roger, you know, and Roger's just like, you know, like freaked out. Sammy, as a threat, right, reaches into the TV and pulls somebody out, and immediately as she gets pulled out, right, she just turns to dust. Just moldy oldie dust, right? But basically, Sammy just wants him to get into the school and play the tape at the school dance. So that's what Roger does. Yeah. But since Eddie is grounded, he has to stay home on Halloween instead of going to the dance, and he has to give out candy. Listen, I wouldn't give out candy. I would just sit there and eat all the candy and be like, yeah, Mom, listen, there are so many trick-or-treaters, man. I don't know why I feel sick, but all the candy's gone. Anyways, enough about me, right? So he gets a phone call, and it's Leslie, right? And she's like, hey, man, where are you? Like, you know, I thought I was going to see you. And he's like, wait, what's that in the background? And she's like, I don't know, some like tape Roger had. And so like he like freaks out, hangs up, and like runs out the door. And there's a trick-or-treater, and she's like, trick or treat, smell my feet. And he dumps all of the candy in her bag, you know, and she's like sitting there like, sick, you know. And he runs off to the dance. Well, he's trying to get to the school. The teacher is introducing the band, and out of the amp, destroying the band's actual lead singer. Out of the amp comes Sammy Carr, right? Anyways, so he puts on a great performance. I'm just saying, like, the song, they killed it. The performance was great. He did that spin I was talking about, fantastic. But then he starts killing people, like zapping them with electricity in the crowd. And so we have like this Carrie moment, right? Children, teachers trapped in the gym of the high school getting killed, right? Oh, there's also a Christine moment. Oh my God, how did I forget that? Sammy took over Eric's car and like tried to run him like into the like lake, but Eddie was able to like do some like trickery hot wire shit. I don't know, but he like killed the power to the car. So yeah, so we've had like a Christine moment and a Carrie moment, and it's wild, right? So, as this is going down, Leslie's like in the bathroom changing for some reason, not sure why. Then she is approached by Tim, and Tim's like, listen, I don't want you to get hurt. You need to stay away from Eddie. Then proceeds to seem like Tim is going to harm her in a sexual manner. So, Leslie is able to get away from him. And as she does, like she runs away, and just like moments later, like Eddie's there and he's like trying to find her. And then he sees Tim, and like he's like, oh my God, come on Tim, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out. But it was a little too late. Sammy killed Tim. Not saying that it was like a sad like time, because Tim was quite a jackass and quite the like, bully. So good riddance. But so he finds Leslie, and he also found Roger. And he's like, Roger, you gotta find the power. Like, we've gotta kill the power. Kill the power. And he's like, he's kind of just like dazed there for a minute. But Eddie and Leslie are trapped by Sammy. Like, Sammy's like locked down the school, right? So luckily for them, Roger comes through at the last minute and destroys the main power box. Also kind of gets electrocuted in the process. So Roger's off to the hospital. But like everyone thinks that Eddie did it. Like everyone's blaming Eddie for like this, whatever's going on. Right. And so Eddie and Leslie like run away, and Leslie's like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? And so he tells her, and she's just kind of like, oh, and he's like, of course you wouldn't believe me. And she's like, no, I believe you, like, whatever. And she's like, well, how did you get this record? And then that's when he realizes, oh crap, the radio's gonna play it at midnight. What time is it? 11:59. So he goes to a payphone to try to call, like, the radio station. Of course, like, the security guard's asleep with a hustler in his hand. Useless. And like he's the only one there. Of course, all of like Nuke's stuff, like for midnight and beyond, is like pre-recorded. I mean, he's the only DJ there, more than likely. It sounds like. So they are like, crap. Well, we'll go to my house and we'll get my car, and then we'll like head out there. Well, the police are around. So, what you gonna do? Oh no, they'll get his mom's car, because his car is like fucking dead. So they're trying to get his mom's car. But the police are around, and then he tries to get his car, and Eddie takes over the car, because Eddie's like, back, because the radio station is playing it backwards, of course, for the first time. You couldn't just play it forward, right? You had to play it backwards for the first time. Anyways, so there goes his mom's car, possessed, It's not coming back. Yeah, it's not coming back. But like one of the cops does run into Sammy, and he tries to tase him, and well, that didn't end up good for the cop, right? But it ends up good for, you know, Eddie, because then he just takes a cop car over to the radio station, where he's got a plan, right? Because, oh, sorry, they were attacked in his house by Eddie. And that's when they realized that water harms him. Like, he was like trying to get them, and he tripped and like fell into the toilet, and he's like, ah. And then to like save some time, like to save them some time, like Leslie flushed him and he went back down in it further, and he's like, ah, water. So at the station, or at the, you know, radio station, Eddie has a little radio that he like puts in the back of the cop car, right? And he tells Leslie, he's like, listen, stay here, count to 100, right? And so Eddie goes and he turns on the, you know, the radio, and he is driving around, just being a total like patronizing butthole, right? And finally he says the one word that like every like rocker like hates, right? Do you know it? It starts with a P. What is it? Say it with me. Poser. So he says that, right? And Eddie is like pops up, and he's like trying to get like listen, this part only makes sense in like a story way, because really, like, you know, cop cars got all kinds of like gadgets and electricity stuff, so I don't know why he came to the radio that was in the back seat when you really could just take over the cop car like he did before with all the other cars. Anyways, so he pops up in the back seat and he can't get out. You know the bars, right? He can't get out, and Eddie just runs them right off into the cliff, of like into the water, right? Somehow, some way, I don't know, Eddie lives, right? I guess he's Houdini. But back at the radio station, like Leslie has run in, like she counted to 100. After 100, she ran in and demolished the part that was playing, the song. And she just sits there and she waits, just hoping that Eddie comes back. And he does. He comes back, and, you know, they have a moment and they kiss, and everything's all better because he, you know, killed Sammy's electrified spirit ghost thing. Anyways, listen. So, this was fantastic. It was a good movie. The little bit that like Ozzy was in it, like while like Eddie's mom was doing some aerobics in her room, talking about, you know, rock music, and the lyrics are just nasty, just nasty, you know, was fantastic. I love it. I mean, all around, the movie was good. You can watch it for free on YouTube. So, I mean, Trick or Treat 1986 is what I found it under. It's good. It's got a good soundtrack. I mean, if you like the like 80s hair metal, like it's right down your alley for the music. It's real good. There was one thing on there that I think was like hip hop, but it felt really out of place in this like very like metal, like hair metal, like themed movie. But it was good. It was good. There were parts of it that irritated me, like why is he calling himself Ragman? Who? No, sir, just no. And also I didn't really understand why, like, you know, Sammy was, you know, electric. I mean, he died in a fire. Wouldn't you think that his like thing would be fire? I don't know. I've questions, okay? You know, I always have them about every movie. Questions. But, what should we do next week? Next week, for my Only Sinners, sorry YouTube, I can't post you on there. You'll have a special treat that goes along with the movie. I'll upload that on Friday. Saturday Night Cinema will be, of course, on Saturday. But we are doing Night of the Demons. You know, Angela and all of her friends. I'm so excited. And one of my favorite scream queens, Linnea is in it. Linnea is amazing. We've talked about her before, and her cemetery naked dance. Goals. If I could just be half as freaking awesome as Linnea is, I'd be happy. Happy. But until then, this has been Saturday Night Cinema, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Bye, guys.